You're not doing what I've taught you and high-fiving me and putting up your trades and tweeting to me saying, thanks ICT, me for that, because I told you not to do it. Okay, so if you made money, that's on you, and if you lost money, guess what? That's on you too. But I see a lot of folks that will post, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And apparently they're not listening, because here's what I think. On Thursday and Friday, you shouldn't have been trading. That's what I think. And what do you do on those days? Well, basically, you're students, okay? You're learning. And even if you've been trading for a while, if you're listening to me, you are a student, okay? You're learning what it is that I do, whether you're going to use it or not. You're a student. So you don't want to be doing the things that I'm telling you not to do, because if you do that, you're wasting your time under my tutelage. You're not going to benefit from it. Apparently, some people like to come and they'll say, hey, look, ICT says don't do this, but I made money over here. Okay, that's fine. When it rains on everybody. Okay, that doesn't mean that you did something right that day. It just means that when I first started making money years ago, back in the 90s, I had 9 months of sheer luck, folks. And it's not painful for me to say now. It was painful at the time to admit to myself that I wasn't as good as I thought it was. Like, I thought that books that I purchased and VCR tapes and CDs and everything else, well, not CDs, but DVDs were coming up then. And I thought that logic was building me into a juggernaut. And, well, the only thing that was a juggernaut is how fast I blew the accounts. Because once the market started going into a trader's environment where everything stopped going parabolically one direction up, I discovered that I didn't know how to trade. And that was very painful to watch me blow not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 accounts. 5 accounts in 1 year in the 90s, trying to force what I thought the books were working for me initially with. And it's a terrible experience. But when I tell you these things, what to avoid, what not to be doing, and then I see folks going out and doing the very thing I tell you not to do, and the worst thing that can happen is for you to find short-term success doing the things I tell you not to do. That's exactly the equivalent of what I was doing for 9 months in 1993. And it was not skill. That was luck. And you were lucky if you made money on Thursday. You were lucky on Friday if you made money. Now that the dust has settled, it's Saturday. If you look at the 5-minute price action on the even the S&P. Now, I don't have a chart in front of me, but I know what it looked like. It was very boring, very sloppy. Yes, there was a setup. Yes, there was a few tiny little scalps. But if you were in there looking for a particular run, that would be framed with a larger degree of probability, not something just on a 1-minute basis. And when I'm looking at trades, I'm going to be all over the place, so that way it's probably going to be difficult for some of you guys that are sticklers about, why don't you just stay on one topic? I'm not going to be able to stay on a topic because I'm literally speaking as my mind goes. So this is what it's like to be in my head. I may not completely close a topic, and if I don't act on something, obviously just tweet it to me in response to this post or this recording, and then I'll address it if it's something that's noteworthy. If it's something that's already been mentioned in other videos or things, then I'll pretty much just, I'll like your comment saying I read it, but doesn't mean that I'm going to answer it because I've already answered it somewhere else. But when I see folks posting that, hey, thanks ICT, I made this much money on Thursday or Friday of non-farm payroll week, I'm not going to high five that. Not because I'm ignoring you, not because I'm trying to be ignorant, but I'm trying to show you that you're doing the opposite of what I'm telling you to do. And some of you just simply want to have those war scars. Like, you want to be able to go through what I went through, or anybody else that blows accounts. And, I got the war scars to prove I earned my stripes. If I could go back in time and I could have someone like what I'm trying to be, I'm doing my best to be the very thing that I was wanting to be, or not wanting to be, but wanting to learn from, someone that had the experience, had gone through the pain, suffered, lost real money, and then found a way to make money. That's somebody that I would have completely subscribed to, absolutely took everything they would have said to heart. And that's my motivation in doing all this stuff, because if I can save one of you from putting yourself through what I put myself through, then it's a success for me. But it's almost like a confessional too, because, you know, a lot of you look up to me as like this superhero kind of guy, and you view me as something that I'm not. I'm not like what many of you attribute characteristics, like it's undeserved. I'm an average little person, okay? I'm not really a big deal. I came from a small town, and I was fortunate to find my way in certain circumstances, certain chance meetings, and I've been blessed by a really big God. And that's who's behind me. That's where I get the tenacity to stay with it. That's who kept me going when I didn't have an ICT encouraging me. It would have been great for me to have somebody to sit down like this and kind of like just talk to me, be a friend, be someone to encourage me, because I was in tears just about every other day back in the 90s. I was so frustrated. I used to work, and I'm thinking about it right now as I'm driving. On Saturdays, I would get up real early, and I used to do a vending route for a guy out in Owings Mills, Maryland. And I didn't make very much money, and you've all heard this story before, but I had to go service a nursing home on, can't remember the name of the road. It'll come to me. Fayette Street, downtown in Baltimore. Not a really good neighborhood, and I was always wondering if I was going to get robbed, but I never did. But I spent 5 hours of my Saturday as a young man, just turning 20 years old, freshly divorced. And I would waste 5 hours of my Saturday servicing one account, and I would hate my life. Like, I hated it. I hated the fact that I knew my friends and my family were home, like you probably are right now. Some of you are probably working, some of you are listening at your job, and you're cheating your boss. But I hated my life on these days. So every Saturday, I go out and I take a drive. Now I'll cycle through both of my Corvettes because I got to keep them moving and keep the battery life on, because I don't put a lot of miles on them. But I'm thinking out loud like I usually do on Saturdays, where I reflect on when I was a younger man, before I knew what I know now. And I was only making $315 a week. 50 of it was paid in under the table in cash for servicing that Saturday account. It would take me 5 hours to get up, drive out to Owings Mills from where I lived, pick the truck up, load up the things that I need to put in the vending machines and go service it, drive down to Fayette Street, then drive back up to Owings Mills, fuel the truck up, do the whole thing. And the whole time I'm looking at the clock thinking, I'm never going to be able to see my girlfriend on time. She's going to be upset. You know, the whole thing, every one of you young guys are thinking all the time. That was me. I did the same stuff. But while I was working and while I was driving to and from, I was looking for a way that I could come out of that. And I wanted to start my own vending business. Like, I was going to cutthroat the guy I was working with, because he was underpaying me. He took advantage of me, because his view was, and this is what happened. I was sitting in the back of the warehouse after one of my route days, and the guy's father, who really owned the business, came in, and real snooty Jewish man. Not that there's anything against Jews or anything like that, but this guy was a hardliner. Just, you know, if you're not Jewish, then you're nobody. And he said, "Where's that young guy? You know, where'd you find him at?" Because I was always wanting to learn how to fix the machines. Like, I wanted to know everything, because my intentions were, I'm going to make my own vending business. I didn't want to be an employee. I knew that when I was younger. But I heard him say, where'd you get him from? And he's like, he applied, and he was the one that kept calling wanting the job. So, and he comes, he never misses a day. Never misses a day. He's like, he looks like he's from Essex, Maryland. He goes, he is. He goes, yeah, you got to watch those guys from Essex. I literally wanted to crawl under a rock at that time. And that day, struck a fire under my ass. I was like, you son of a bitch.